Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about exceptionalities. And what is exceptionalities? Well, everyone wants to have that exceptional child. And most people, when they think of exceptional, they think of gifted. And in a lot of cases, that's the case. But exceptional just means out of the ordinary. A child who, or a person who is not like everyone else. So think about a child who maybe excels in art, or then you have someone that might have a disability, or maybe a child that's just a little bit more energetic than the typical. Any type of exception, that's why it's called an exceptionality, is basically what makes them exceptional. And so today I'm going to talk about the different types of exceptionalities that are out there and some of the good and the bad and the ugly that goes along with it. So first of all, I wanted to talk about gifted because a lot of people have a misunderstanding about what that means. So when your child is tested and considered gifted, they have a certain IQ. It used to be above 126. I am not sure what it is today, but and it might be different depending on the school system. But in my school system, if you had an IQ of 126 or higher, if you passed a certain test and had certain, results, then they would put you in the gifted program at the school. And so there's more to it than just IQ, because you could have a child with a super high IQ, but if they are not able to function, then obviously that, puts them in a different level. But gifted, it means that they are, very, very bright. Their abilities are higher in areas that other children may not excel in. For example, you may have a gifted child who excels in math. They can be like a little walking calculator. You might have a child who is gifted in, in writing, expressing themselves. You may have a child who's gifted in being able to memorize or remember things. So those are all different types of gifts, that these children may have. It's very rare, and I'm going to repeat this many times, it's very rare to have a child who's gifted in everything. That's the biggest misconception, I believe, when it comes to a child who's gifted. So if you have a child who's gifted and they are good at math, that doesn't mean they excel in spelling, for example, or that they excel in, in art or music. Like if my child is gifted, that doesn't mean that they can go to the piano and just play Mozart. That's not what that means. And so as a parent and an educator, can't talk today, you have the privilege of seeing these individuals bloom and grow in their areas of that they're gifted in. So I encourage you, if you have a child who is gifted, and to figure out ways to encourage them and to develop that gift. One of my children is gifted in electronics, and he likes to know how everything works. And so I have a feeling he's going to be our future engineer. So I have, tried to put him in areas. For example, there is a group called Snapology here in our area where they have Legos and they use STEM to teach how to program and all these different things using coding and all that. It's beyond my comprehension, but they teach these kids using Legos, which is one of the things that my child likes. So there are programs out there that, you can utilize and to help encourage your child to develop in the areas of interest. And that's usually key. Schools can offer these things, and I encourage you, if you're an educator, to seek out those programs, because it will make your life easier. Because think about it. If you're a child who is obsessed with Legos, for example, I know I'm using this as an example, but a lot of kids are. They like to build things. then bringing a program like that to your school can help your children socially, intellectually, and academically. So I think that it's a win-win, and parents have some kind of respite for a little while where their children are doing something that they enjoy doing and they're learning at the same time. So there are online courses for this as well. There are companies I found that are looking for children that are gifted in this, in coding and things like that, and they will eventually hire you on. So look for these opportunities for children. So we are talking about gifted. I'm going to switch gears now. So now we do have the opposite spectrum of disabilities. So you have learning disabilities. You may have a child with dyslexia, for example, where they see things differently, they process differently, and so their learning style is different. That's an exceptionality. Then you have developmental delays, where maybe socially they are not where they should be, and so that is an exceptionality. You have emotional and behavior disorders. So you may have a child with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. You may have depression. You may have anxiety. All of those things are exceptionalities. Then you have communication disorders. There's so many I can't even name. There are some where, maybe the tongue doesn't, is not able to form sounds properly. You may have a lisp. That's a very small, insignificant thing. But when you think about it, that can affect you, in so many different ways. When they're little and they have a lisp, they're like, that's so cute. And then as they get older, it may not be so cute. And so then they have the stigma of that lisp. So anyway, that's, just a small little example. Then you have hearing disabilities. So with one of my children, they thought they could not hear. So I had them, I had two of my children evaluated for hearing because we thought that they had hearing issues, and it wasn't that at all. But there are hearing disabilities. There are some where they can't process it like everyone else, like what they hear, the auditory stimuli. And so that can affect them, and that's an exceptionality. Then you have visual impairments. So, obviously I'm wearing glasses. So if you have a child who can't see, or they can't see very well, then obviously that's an exceptionality. And what do? This is my most favorite analogy to give people. If you have a child who can't see very well, what do? You take them to an optometrist. The optometrist is going to check their eyes. And what will they give them? They will give them a tool called glasses that they can wear. And all of a sudden, the world is open to them, right? Well, with any exceptionality, that is the way it is. You give accommodations, and they are on track. I hate to hear, and I hear this all the time, educators say, well, if I do this for one, I got to do this for all. I am sorry, but you know what? They didn't ask for this exceptionality. They didn't ask to not be able to, do things like everyone else. They were born that way. They came geared that way and programmed that way. So you guys just need to get with the program and realize that not every child is a cookie cutter. Not every child is going to learn the same way. So just give them the accommodations they need so that they can succeed. You're not going to tell the child who can't see, oh, you can't wear those glasses, right? That would be absurd. Or if somebody broke a leg, you wouldn't say, well, I don't know about using that wheelchair. Goodness gracious, if I let you use a wheelchair, I'm going to have to let the whole class use a wheelchair. Do you hear how ridiculous that sounds? I have heard that over and over. I had a child who stopped taking naps at age 3. So by the time they went to kindergarten and it was nap time, that was the worst time for him. Bless his heart. And so the teacher was like, well, if I let him not take a nap, then I have to let everybody else not take a nap. All right, well, that's fine. Well, then give him a book so at least he can sit there quietly. Nope, that didn't go well either. Well, if I give him a book, then I have to give everybody else a book. I'm like, this is absurd. This is one of the reasons I had to pull him out and homeschool him. And the rest is history. I'll have to tell you that story later. But anyway, that's just a great example of why I do this, why I feel so passionate about this. Now, there are challenges. Now, I want to tell you, if you are a parent or an educator of children with exceptionalities, the world is open. I mean, there are so many things that we can benefit from these kids. We have children who are exceptional. So think about it, how boring this world would be if everybody was normal. Honestly, I think it would be a very boring world, very uncreative. It would be a world that would just be a blah world. So these kids are here for a reason. They are here to share what they have to offer with all of us. And so the benefits definitely outweigh the challenges. But I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all there are no challenges, because there are. Children with exceptionalities, whether they're gifted, whether they have learning disabilities, are the hardest students, hardest kids to raise and to teach. And why is that? Because they require accommodations. You can't just do the same thing for every one of them. You have to figure out a way to reach that child. So if they're gifted, you have to challenge them. If they are disabled or they have a challenge, a disability that requires a little bit of TLC, then yes, it's going to require a little bit more planning and patience and all of that. But I promise you the results are amazing. You will see benefits that you have never seen before. And so I encourage you that if you are in that boat, if you are a parent of an exceptional child, first of all, embrace it, no matter what the exceptionality is. Embrace it and learn about it and do what you can to nourish that exceptionality, whatever it might be, okay? If you are a teacher and you are teaching exceptional children, again, educate yourself. Talk to the parents. They know so much. They are a big resource. And you know, I tried for many years to start up support groups and workshops at my school. It never happened because there are so many barriers. However, now with technology, we can do it. We can do virtual meetings. We can do Zoom. We can do Skype, whatever. I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and get with other people who are in that same journey you are on. And I promise you that if you do that, your world will just change. We have to change our mindset. That is the key thing. We have to change our mindset, and we can change it with education. And that is the reason I am making these videos, to educate those of you who are not aware. And those of you who are aware, I want to educate you and uplift you and support you and be a resource for you, because I have raised 4 children with exceptionalities. And there are things that you will not find in a textbook. There are things that doctors and psychiatrists, psychologists, and professionals and educators will never tell you, because unless you've lived it, there's no way you can know. So I'll leave that with you guys. Ponder it, think about it, get back with me with any questions or comments. I would love to hear from you, and best of luck on your journey. See you soon. Bye.